Law of One, written and published by Ngasline. In the vast tapestry of spiritual wisdom and metaphysical understanding emerges a profound teaching known as the Law of One, a perspective so fundamentally transformative that it dissolves the illusory boundaries between suffering and enlightenment in a single, unified truth. Unlike conventional spiritual paths that treat enlightenment as a distant summit to be climbed, this ancient wisdom reveals that separation itself is the grand illusion from which all suffering springs. Through this paradigm, shifting lens, we discover that our journey isn't about becoming something different or reaching some far-off destination, but rather about awakening to what has always been true, that all consciousness, all energy, all matter, and all experience are expressions of a single, infinite reality. This understanding doesn't just offer philosophical comfort. It provides a practical framework for transcending the very mechanisms of suffering that keep us bound to limited perceptions of ourselves and our place in the cosmic dance. Lesson 1. All things are one consciousness experiencing itself. The universe, in its infinite wisdom and complexity, operates as a single, unified consciousness expressing itself through countless forms and experiences. This fundamental truth lies at the heart of our existence, yet it often eludes our everyday perception. We tend to see ourselves as separate beings, distinct from the world around us, but this perception is merely the surface layer of a much deeper reality. Consider a vast ocean, with its countless waves rising and falling on the surface. Each wave appears distinct and separate, yet they are all manifestations of the same body of water. Similarly, all beings, objects, and experiences in our universe are expressions of one universal consciousness. This consciousness is not distant or separate from us. It is who we are at our core. Every thought, feeling, and experience we have is the universe experiencing itself through our unique perspective. This understanding of universal consciousness challenges our conventional way of seeing the world. We've been conditioned to perceive boundaries, divisions, and separateness. We see ourselves as isolated individuals, separate from other people, nature, and the cosmos. However, quantum physics has revealed that, at the most fundamental level, everything is interconnected. The apparent solidity and separateness of matter dissolves into a dance of energy and relationships. The interconnected nature of reality manifests in countless ways in our daily lives. When we feel empathy for another person's pain, we're experiencing our inherent connection. When we're moved by music, touched by beauty, or inspired by nature, we're sensing our unity with the greater whole. Even our ability to communicate and understand each other points to a deeper underlying connection that transcends our apparent separateness. Breaking down the illusion of separateness requires both intellectual understanding and direct experience. We can observe this unity in the intricate web of ecosystems, where every species plays a vital role in maintaining balance. We see it in human relationships, where our actions inevitably affect others, creating ripples that extend far beyond our immediate sphere. Even our thoughts and emotions are not truly our own, but part of a collective field of consciousness that we all share. This unity consciousness manifests in practical ways throughout our lives. When we help others, we're ultimately helping ourselves because there is no true separation between us. When we harm others or the environment, we're harming aspects of our larger self. Understanding this can transform how we approach relationships, conflict resolution, and environmental stewardship. Living from this understanding doesn't mean losing our individual identity. Rather, it means recognizing that our individuality is a unique expression of the whole, much like each wave maintains its distinct form while being inseparable from the ocean. Our personal experiences, thoughts, and feelings are valuable precisely because they represent unique perspectives through which universal consciousness experiences itself. The recognition of our fundamental unity has profound implications for how we live. It naturally leads to greater compassion, as we recognize that others' suffering is not separate from our own. It fosters responsibility as we understand that our actions affect the whole. It brings a deep sense of belonging, as we realize we are never truly alone, but are integral parts of a vast, interconnected web of life. This understanding of unity consciousness is not merely philosophical. It's a practical foundation for transforming our experience of life. When we truly grasp that all things are one consciousness experiencing itself, our perspective shifts from isolation to connection, from fear to love, and from conflict to cooperation. This shift in awareness is the key to personal and collective transformation, leading us from suffering to enlightenment. Each moment offers us an opportunity to experience this truth directly. Whether through meditation, contemplation of nature, or mindful attention to our daily experiences, we can gradually pierce through the veil of separation and recognize our essential unity with all that is. This recognition is not just an intellectual exercise, but a lived experience that has the power to transform every aspect of our lives. Lesson 2. Love is the essence of all creation. At the heart of all existence lies a profound and powerful force that permeates every particle, every thought, and every moment. Love. This universal force of love is not merely an emotion or feeling, but the very fabric that weaves reality together. It is the creative principle that brought forth the universe and continues to sustain all of creation in perfect harmony. Love, in its purest form, is the energy that flows through all things, connecting every aspect of existence in an intricate dance of creation. When we observe nature, we witness this creative force in action, from the way plants grow towards the sun to the precise orchestration of cosmic bodies in their celestial ballet. Even in the smallest atomic particles, we find this attractive force that holds matter together, a scientific expression of the same universal love that binds all of creation. This creative force manifests in countless ways throughout the universe. In human experience, we see it in acts of kindness, in artistic expression, in scientific discretion, in scientific discovery, and in the miracle of life itself. Every moment of genuine connection between beings is a demonstration of this universal love in action. When we create something new, whether it's a piece of art, a solution to a problem, or a meaningful relationship, we are channeling this same creative force that birthed the universe. Understanding unconditional love opens us to a deeper dimension of existence. Unlike conditional love, which depends on specific circumstances or behaviors, unconditional love exists without requirements or expectations. It is the natural state of the universe, ever present and unchanging. This form of love doesn't judge, doesn't demand, and doesn't discriminate. It simply is. Like the sun that shines equally on all things, unconditional love radiates to all beings regardless of their perceived worthiness or actions. In daily life, we can practice aligning with this creative force of love through simple yet powerful actions. Each time we choose compassion over judgment, understanding over criticism, or forgiveness over resentment, we are manifesting this universal love. When we extend kindness to strangers, show patience in challenging situations, or offer support without expecting anything in return, we become conscious channels for this creative force. The practice of love begins with self-love, not as an act of ego, but as an acknowledgement of our own divine nature. When we truly love ourselves, we naturally extend that love to others, creating a ripple effect that touches countless lives. This doesn't mean we won't face challenges or experience difficult emotions, but rather that we approach all experiences with an open heart and an understanding of their place in the greater tapestry of existence. Living from this understanding transforms our relationships, our work, and our entire approach to life. We begin to see that every interaction is an opportunity to express and experience love in its many forms. Even in apparent conflicts or disagreements, we can choose to respond from a place of love rather than fear or anger. This doesn't mean becoming passive or avoiding necessary confrontations, but rather addressing challenges with wisdom and compassion. As we deepen our understanding of love as the essential creative force, we naturally align more closely with the universe's fundamental nature. This alignment brings about a sense of peace, purpose, and connection that transcends ordinary experience. we begin to recognize that love is not something we need to seek or create. It is what we are at our core. By remembering and embodying this truth, we become conscious participants in the creative dance of existence, allowing the universal force of love to flow through us and transform both our individual lives and the world around us. Lesson 3. Fear dissolves when unity is seen. Fear has been humanity's constant companion throughout history, shaping our decisions, limiting our potential, and creating barriers between ourselves and others. At its core, fear emerges from the perception of separation, the belief that we are isolated entities vulnerable to harm, loss, and destruction. This fundamental misunderstanding of our true nature as interconnected beings leads to a cascade of anxieties, worries, and defensive behaviors that perpetuate our suffering. When we examine fear closely, we discover that it always stems from a perceived threat to our separate self. Whether we fear death, rejection, failure, or loss, each fear is rooted in the idea that we are separate and therefore vulnerable. This illusion of separation creates a constant state of anxiety as we attempt to protect and preserve what we believe to be our isolated existence. The transformative power of unity awareness begins to dissolve these deep-seated fears naturally and effortlessly. As we recognize our true nature as expressions of unified consciousness, we realize there is nothing to protect and nothing to lose. Just as waves in the ocean cannot be truly separated from the water itself, our essential nature cannot be threatened or destroyed. This understanding doesn't make us reckless or careless. Rather, it allows us to move through life with greater peace and wisdom. Consider how a mother naturally loses her fear when her child is in danger. She acts from a place of unity consciousness where there is no separation between herself and her child. In those moments, fear dissolves into pure love and action. This same principle applies to all aspects of life when we maintain awareness of our fundamental unity with all that is. To transform fear through unity awareness, we must first acknowledge our fears without judgment. By bringing conscious attention to our fears, we can observe how they arise from the belief in separation. Each time we feel afraid, we can pause and ask ourselves, what am I believing myself to be separate from in this moment? This simple inquiry begins to loosen fear's grip on our consciousness. The practice of unity awareness involves repeatedly returning our attention to the truth of our interconnected nature. When fear arises about financial security, we can recognize our connection to the abundant flow of universal resources. When we fear illness or death, we can remember that our consciousness is not confined to our physical form. When we fear rejection or abandonment, we can awaken to our inseparable connection with all beings. As we deepen our understanding of unity, we naturally develop greater trust in life itself. We begin to see that what we previously feared were actually opportunities for growth and expansion of consciousness. The universe, operating as one interconnected whole, always moves toward greater harmony and balance. Our fears, seen from this perspective, become doorways to deeper understanding and freedom. Physical practices like conscious breathing, meditation, and spending time in nature can help anchor this understanding in our daily experience. These practices remind us of our connection to the whole and provide direct experiences of unity consciousness. When fear arises, simply breathing consciously while feeling our connection to all life can begin to dissolve the illusion of separation. Through consistent practice of unity awareness, fear gradually loses its power over us. We begin to live from a place of trust, openness, and love rather than contraction and defense. This doesn't mean we never experience fear. Rather, we develop the ability to see through fear to the unity that underlies all experience. In this seeing, fear naturally dissolves, just as darkness dissolves in the presence of light. The journey from fear to freedom through unity awareness is one of the most profound transformations possible in human experience. As we continue to recognize and live from our true nature as expressions of unified consciousness, fear naturally gives way to love, trust, and deep peace. This transformation not only liberates us individually, but contributes to the awakening of all beings to their essential unity. Lesson 4. Every soul walks its perfect path. Each soul embarks on a unique journey through existence, perfectly designed for its growth and evolution. Like countless streams flowing towards the same ocean, we each navigate our distinct paths while moving towards the same ultimate destination of enlightenment. The divine intelligence that orchestrates the universe ensures that every experience, every challenge, and every triumph serves our highest good, even when we cannot see it in the moment. Understanding divine timing requires a deep trust in life's natural unfolding. Often, we resist our circumstances or wish for faster progress, yet everything occurs precisely when it should. Just as a flower cannot be forced to bloom before its time, our spiritual growth and life experiences arrive at the perfect moment for our development. This divine timing operates beyond our limited human perception of time and space, working in harmony with our soul's greater purpose. Each person we encounter and every situation we face becomes our teacher. Some souls choose paths of great challenge, while others seem to flow more gently. Neither path is superior. They are simply different routes to the same destination. When we truly understand this principle, we naturally release judgment of others' choices and paths. The monk in meditation, the business executive, the artist, and the parent all walk equally valid spiritual paths, each contributing to the collective tapestry of human experience. Learning from others' paths enriches our own journey without necessitating that we follow their exact footsteps. We can observe and appreciate the wisdom gained through different life choices while honoring our unique calling. This perspective allows us to find inspiration in others' stories while remaining true to our authentic path. It's essential to remember that comparing our journey to others only creates unnecessary suffering and disconnects us from our inner guidance. Finding peace in your journey emerges naturally when you trust that you are exactly where you need to be. This doesn't mean becoming passive or accepting injustice. Rather, it means understanding that your current circumstances contain precisely the lessons and growth opportunities your soul seeks. Even moments of apparent failure or wrong serve the greater purpose of your evolution. The challenges you face are not punishments, but opportunities for expansion and deeper understanding. Your path may look messy and uncertain from your current vantage point, but from a higher perspective, it forms a perfect pattern. Like a tapestry viewed from the back, the threads may seem tangled and chaotic, but when turned over, they reveal a beautiful and intentional design. Every decision, every relationship, every triumph, and every struggle weaves into the greater pattern of your soul's journey. Accepting your path doesn't mean abandoning your dreams or settling for less than you desire. Instead, it means trusting the timing and manner in which those dreams manifest while remaining open to how they might evolve. Sometimes, what we think we want transforms into something even more aligned with our soul's purpose as we grow and expand our consciousness. The perfect path includes moments of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. These are not signs of being lost, but natural parts of the journey. They serve to strengthen our faith, deepen our wisdom, and expand our capacity for growth. When we embrace these challenges as integral parts of our path rather than obstacles to overcome, we find greater peace in the present moment. Your journey is uniquely yours, perfectly designed for your soul's evolution. Trust in its unfolding, honor its timing, and know that every step, whether forward, backward, or sideways, serves your highest good and the good of all. In this trust lies the peace that surpasses understanding, the wisdom that transcends logic, and the love that transforms everything it touches. Lesson 5. Separation is the grand illusion. The belief in separation stands as the most pervasive and powerful illusion humanity has ever created. From our earliest moments of self-awareness, we develop a sense of I distinct from everything else, leading to a fundamental misunderstanding of our true nature. This perceived separation becomes the root of our deepest fears, anxieties, and suffering. The illusion of separation manifests in countless ways throughout our lives. We see ourselves as separate from nature, from other people, from the divine, and even from parts of ourselves we judge or reject. This fragmented view of reality creates artificial boundaries that limit our experience of life and prevent us from accessing our innate wholeness. When we examine the origins of this belief in separation, we find it stems from our mind's tendency to categorize and divide reality into manageable pieces. While this ability serves practical purposes in navigating daily life, it becomes problematic when we mistake these mental constructs for absolute truth. The mind creates labels, categories, and divisions, and over time, we forget these are simply tools rather than fundamental aspects of reality. The suffering that arises from perceived separation takes many forms. We experience loneliness, feeling cut off from others and the world around us. We struggle with competition and comparison, believing we must fight against others for limited resources or recognition. We develop fears about our survival, sensing we must protect our isolated self against a seemingly hostile universe. These painful experiences all stem from the core belief that we exist as separate, isolated entities. Yet science, spirituality, and direct experience all point to a very different reality. Quantum physics reveals the interconnected nature of all matter and energy. Ecological studies show the intricate web of relationships that sustain all life. Mystical traditions across cultures speak of the fundamental unity underlying all existence. Our own moments of deep connection, love, and transcendent experience offer glimpses of this underlying truth. Breaking through the illusion of separation requires both understanding and practice. We begin by questioning our assumptions about boundaries and divisions. Where do we truly end and others begin? Can we find any absolute division between ourselves and our environment? As we investigate deeply, we discover that such boundaries exist primarily in our thoughts rather than in reality itself. Meditation and contemplative practices help us experience directly the artificiality of separation. As we quiet the categorizing mind, we can touch the seamless flow of experience that precedes all mental divisions. We may notice how thoughts, sensations, and perceptions arise and pass within a unified field of awareness that remains undivided and whole. Returning to wholeness involves gradually releasing our attachment to the separate self. This doesn't mean losing our uniqueness or individual expression. Rather, we recognize these as beautiful manifestations of the whole rather than truly separate entities. Like waves on the ocean, we maintain our distinct form while remaining fundamentally one with the greater body of water. This shift in perception transforms our relationship with everything we encounter. Other people become recognized as other expressions of our own deeper nature. Nature reveals itself as our larger body. Even our challenges and difficulties are seen as movements within the unified field of existence, neither separate from us nor happening to us, but rather arising as part of the whole. As we embrace this truth, the suffering created by perceived separation naturally begins to dissolve. We no longer feel isolated or alone because we recognize our inherent connection to all of life. Competition gives way to cooperation as we understand that harming others ultimately harms ourselves. Fear diminishes as we realize we cannot be truly separated from the whole that we are. Living from this understanding doesn't mean denying the apparent separateness we experience in daily life. Rather, we hold both the relative truth of our individual expression and the absolute truth of our underlying unity. This balanced perspective allows us to function effectively in the world while remaining grounded in the deeper reality of oneness. Lesson 6. Your true self knows no boundaries. The concept of self that most people hold is remarkably limited compared to the vast, infinite nature of our true being. We often identify solely with our physical body, our thoughts, our roles in society, and our personal history. Yet these aspects represent only a tiny fraction of who we truly are. Your true self extends far beyond these artificial boundaries, reaching into the infinite expanse of consciousness itself. Consider for a moment the difference between a wave and the ocean. While a wave might appear to be separate and distinct, it is inherently one with the entire ocean. Similarly, what we perceive as our individual self is like a wave in the infinite ocean of consciousness. The boundaries we perceive are merely temporary forms, while our essential nature remains boundless and interconnected with all that is. Many of our limiting beliefs stem from early conditioning and societal programming. We learn to define ourselves through labels, achievements, and relationships. These definitions become mental prisons that restrict our experience of life and our understanding of our own potential. Breaking free from these limiting beliefs requires a willingness to question everything we think we know about ourselves and an openness to experiencing our true, unlimited nature. The physical world operates within certain apparent limitations: time, space, and causality. However, consciousness itself knows no such boundaries. Through meditation, deep contemplation, and direct experience, we can begin to access levels of awareness that transcend physical limitations. In these expanded states, we discover that our consciousness can extend far beyond the confines of our body and personal identity. When we start exploring consciousness beyond the physical, we often encounter experiences that challenge our conventional understanding of reality. We might experience profound states of unity, receive insights that seem to come from beyond our personal knowledge, or feel connected to all of existence. These experiences aren't supernatural. They're actually glimpses of our natural state once we remove the artificial boundaries we've placed around our sense of self. Accessing higher awareness doesn't require special abilities or years of spiritual practice. It simply requires a willingness to question our assumptions about who we are and what we're capable of. This questioning creates openings through which our broader nature can reveal itself. Sometimes this happens gradually, through small insights and expanding awareness. Other times, it comes as sudden breakthrough experiences that dramatically shift our perspective. The journey of exploring our true, boundless nature often brings up fear and resistance. Our ego structure, which has been built around maintaining a sense of separate self, may feel threatened by experiences of boundlessness. This is natural and part of the process. As we continue to explore with gentleness and curiosity, these fears gradually dissolve, replaced by an expanding sense of freedom and possibility. Living from this expanded understanding of self transforms every aspect of life. Relationships become richer as we recognize the same boundless consciousness in others. Creative expression flows more freely as we access deeper sources of inspiration. Problems that seemed insurmountable from a limited perspective often resolve naturally when viewed from a broader awareness. The key to unlocking this boundless nature lies in direct experience rather than intellectual understanding alone. While concepts can point the way, it's through experiential exploration that we truly begin to know ourselves as infinite beings. This might involve practices like meditation, self-inquiry, or simply paying attention to moments when our usual sense of self naturally expands or dissolves. As you continue to explore your true nature beyond boundaries, remember that this journey isn't about reaching some distant goal or becoming something other than what you are. Instead, it's about recognizing and allowing the infinite nature that has always been present. Your true self knows no boundaries because, in essence, you are the boundless awareness in which all experience arises. Lesson 7. Pain comes from fighting oneness. The essence of human suffering lies not in our experiences themselves, but in our resistance to what is. When we fight against the natural flow of life and deny our fundamental connection to the whole, we create internal friction that manifests as pain. This resistance often stems from our conditioned belief in separation and our attempt to control outcomes that are part of a larger, interconnected system. Consider how a river naturally flows around obstacles, accepting and incorporating them into its journey. When we resist life's natural flow, we create emotional dams that block our energy and cause emotional, mental, and even physical pain. This resistance can take many forms: refusing to accept a situation, judging ourselves harshly, rejecting others' perspectives, or fighting against change. Each form of resistance represents a denial of the fundamental oneness that connects all existence. Our suffering intensifies when we believe we are isolated entities fighting against the world rather than integral parts of a unified whole. When we perceive ourselves as separate from others, from nature, or from the divine, we create an internal battlefield where peace could otherwise exist. This perceived separation leads to defensive behaviors, emotional walls, and persistent anxiety about our place in the universe. The path to healing begins with recognition and acceptance. When we acknowledge that our pain stems from resistance to oneness, we can begin to soften our defensive postures. This doesn't mean passive resignation to circumstances, but rather a deep understanding that we are part of a larger unfolding. By accepting our connection to all things, we can respond to life's challenges from a place of wisdom rather than reaction. The healing process involves releasing our grip on the illusion of control. When we understand that we are part of an interconnected web of life, we can trust in the inherent intelligence of the universe. This trust allows us to move through difficulties with grace, knowing that each experience contributes to our growth and the evolution of the whole. Resistance often manifests in the body as tension, in the mind as worry, and in the heart as fear. By practicing presence and awareness, we can identify these signs of resistance early. Through conscious breathing, meditation, and mindful movement, we can release physical tension. Through observation of our thoughts without judgment, we can let go of mental resistance. Through opening our hearts to compassion, we can dissolve emotional barriers. The practice of accepting oneness requires us to embrace all aspects of our experience, the pleasant and unpleasant, the comfortable and uncomfortable. When we resist certain aspects of life, we fragment our experience and create suffering. By embracing the totality of our experience, we align with the natural flow of existence and reduce our suffering. Unity consciousness teaches us that pain is not punishment, but a signal calling for our attention and understanding. When we experience pain, whether emotional or physical, it often indicates areas where we're fighting against our natural connection to the whole. By listening to this pain with compassion and curiosity, we can identify the underlying resistance and begin the process of healing through acceptance. The journey from resistance to acceptance is not about bypassing difficult emotions or experiences. Instead, it's about moving through them with awareness of our fundamental connection to all that is. This awareness allows us to experience challenges without becoming overwhelmed by them, knowing that we are supported by the infinite web of existence. As we release resistance and embrace oneness, we discover that pain transforms into wisdom, fear into love, and separation into unity. This transformation doesn't happen overnight, but through consistent practice of acceptance and recognition of our interconnected nature. Each moment of acceptance brings us closer to the peace that naturally exists when we stop fighting against the truth of our oneness. Lesson 8. All experiences serve the whole. Life presents us with an endless array of experiences, from moments of pure joy to periods of intense challenge. Each experience, whether perceived as positive or negative, plays a vital role in the greater tapestry of existence. When we understand that all experiences serve the collective growth of consciousness, we begin to view our life journey through a different lens. Consider how a challenging experience has shaped your character or led to unexpected growth. Perhaps a difficult relationship taught you about boundaries and self-respect, or a professional setback revealed hidden strengths you didn't know you possessed. These moments of difficulty aren't random accidents or cruel twists of fate. They are carefully orchestrated opportunities for expansion and evolution. The universe operates through a perfect system of balance and growth. Every experience contributes to the development of greater awareness, not just for the individual, but for the collective consciousness. When one person learns from adversity, their wisdom becomes part of the shared field of human experience. This is why personal growth never occurs in isolation. It ripples outward, touching countless others in ways we may never fully comprehend. Even the most challenging circumstances carry seeds of transformation. A health crisis might awaken deep compassion and understanding for others who suffer. Financial difficulties could lead to discovering innovative solutions that eventually benefit many. The loss of a loved one might open our hearts to a deeper appreciation of life and connection. These experiences, while painful, serve as catalysts for expansion and understanding. The key to finding meaning in difficulty lies in shifting our perspective from resistance to receptivity. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" We can ask, what is this experience teaching me? This simple change in viewpoint opens us to the wisdom inherent in every situation. It allows us to participate consciously in our own evolution and contribute more effectively to collective growth. Understanding that all experiences serve the whole doesn't mean we should seek out suffering or remain passive in difficult situations. Rather, it invites us to approach each experience with awareness and curiosity. We can actively engage with life while trusting that every moment holds purpose and potential for growth. This perspective also helps us release judgment about our experiences and those of others. When we see that each person's journey contributes to the collective evolution of consciousness, we can honor all paths, even those that appear different from our own. The struggling addict, the successful entrepreneur, the spiritual seeker, and the skeptic all play their perfect parts in the unfolding of universal awareness. The world itself reflects this principle of collective service. Natural disasters, while devastating, often bring communities together and spark innovative solutions for future challenges. Societal upheavals lead to necessary changes and reforms. Even global crises serve to unite humanity in finding common ground and shared solutions. As we embrace this understanding, we naturally become more accepting of life's full spectrum of experiences. We learn to trust the process of growth, even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. This trust doesn't eliminate pain or challenge, but it provides a broader context that helps us navigate difficult times with greater grace and understanding. Living with the awareness that all experiences serve the whole transforms how we move through life. We become more present, more accepting, and more capable of finding meaning in every situation. This awareness allows us to participate more fully in our own evolution while contributing consciously to the growth of all. Through this lens, every experience becomes an opportunity to serve the expanding awareness of the entire universe. Lesson 9. Every being reflects divine light. When we truly understand that every being reflects divine light, we begin to see the world through entirely new eyes. This fundamental truth transforms our daily interactions and deepens our connection to life itself. Each person we encounter, every animal we observe, and all forms of nature we experience are manifestations of the same divine essence that flows through everything. This divine light isn't something abstract or distant. It's the very life force that animates all of existence. When you look into another person's eyes, you're witnessing the same consciousness that exists within you. The homeless person on the street, the CEO in the boardroom, the child playing in the park. All are equal expressions of this divine light. Each being, regardless of their current life circumstances or apparent level of awareness, carries within them the full potential of universal consciousness. The practice of recognizing divinity in all begins with simple awareness. As you move through your day, pause to acknowledge the sacred nature of each encounter. The barista preparing your coffee, the trees swaying in the wind, the birds singing their morning songs. All are unique expressions of the divine. This recognition naturally cultivates a sense of reverence and respect for all forms of life. When we honor all forms of life, we begin to move differently in the world. Our actions become more considerate, our words more thoughtful, and our presence more gentle. We understand that causing harm to any being is causing harm to ourselves, as we are all interconnected expressions of the same divine light. This understanding naturally leads to more compassionate and conscious living. The practice of reverence extends beyond human interactions. The earth itself is a living expression of divine consciousness, as are all the creatures that inhabit it. When we treat the natural world with reverence, we align ourselves with the fundamental truth of our interconnectedness. This might manifest as choosing sustainable practices, treating animals with kindness, or simply taking time to appreciate the beauty and wisdom inherent in nature. Seeing the sacred in everyday life requires a shift in perception. What might seem mundane or ordinary becomes extraordinary when viewed through the lens of divine awareness. The simple act of preparing a meal becomes a sacred ritual when we recognize the divine light present in each ingredient and the miraculous processes that brought them to our table. Even challenging situations or difficult relationships can be transformed when we remember that divine light exists within all participants. This understanding doesn't mean we need to agree with or accept harmful behavior. Rather, it means we can respond to challenges from a place of wisdom and compassion, recognizing that even those who cause harm are, at their core, expressions of divine light who have temporarily lost their way. This perspective allows us to maintain boundaries while still holding space for transformation and healing. The practice of recognizing divine light in all beings naturally leads to a more joyful and peaceful existence. When we see the sacred in everything, every moment becomes an opportunity for connection and celebration. A simple walk becomes a moving meditation. A conversation becomes an exchange of divine energy, and even routine tasks become opportunities to witness and honor the divine light expressing itself through various forms. As we deepen in this understanding, we naturally become more present and alive to each moment. The artificial boundaries between sacred and mundane dissolve, revealing the truth that all of life is sacred. This awareness transforms not only our personal experience, but radiates outward, affecting all those we encounter and contributing to the collective awakening of consciousness. Divine light isn't something we need to create or achieve. It's what we already are. Our task is simply to recognize and honor this truth in ourselves and in all beings. Through this recognition, we participate in the grand dance of consciousness expressing itself through infinite forms, each one perfect and complete in its own way. Lesson 10. Freedom lives in unity's truth. The journey to freedom begins and ends with the recognition of unity consciousness. As we embrace the fundamental truth of oneness, we discover that true freedom isn't about escaping our circumstances, but rather about fully embodying our authentic nature as expressions of the infinite. Living from unity consciousness transforms every aspect of our daily experience, from the most mundane tasks to our deepest relationships. When we ground ourselves in unity consciousness, we naturally align with the flow of life. This alignment manifests in practical ways. We become more present in our interactions, more attuned to synchronicities, and more responsive to the needs of the whole. Our decisions emerge from a place of greater awareness, considering not just our individual desires, but the interconnected web of life that we're part of. In our relationships, unity consciousness dissolves the barriers that once seemed so solid. We begin to see others not as separate entities to be judged or feared, but as different facets of the same consciousness we share. This shift in perception naturally leads to more harmonious interactions, deeper understanding, and authentic connections. Conflicts transform into opportunities for greater awareness and growth. The practical application of unity consciousness extends to every choice we make. From the food we eat to the way we spend our time, each decision becomes an opportunity to express our understanding of oneness. We might find ourselves naturally drawn to choices that honor the environment, support the well-being of others, and contribute to the greater good. These aren't choices made from obligation or guilt, but rather natural expressions of our expanded awareness. Maintaining awareness of unity requires consistent practice and gentle dedication. It's helpful to create daily rituals that remind us of our true nature. This might include morning meditation, mindful walks in nature, or simple moments of conscious breathing throughout the day. These practices serve as anchors, helping us return to unity consciousness when we temporarily forget. As we move forward on this path, we discover that freedom isn't a destination, but a continuous unfolding. Each moment offers a fresh opportunity to choose unity over separation, love over fear, and awareness over unconsciousness. The challenges we face become our teachers, showing us where we still hold on to the illusion of separation and inviting us to expand our understanding. Living from unity consciousness doesn't mean we never experience difficulties or emotions. Instead, we learn to hold these experiences within a larger context of awareness. We understand that our personal challenges are part of the greater dance of consciousness exploring itself. This understanding brings a profound sense of peace and purpose to everything we experience. The truth of unity liberates us from the need to control outcomes or manipulate circumstances. We learn to trust in the inherent wisdom of life itself, knowing that each experience serves the evolution of consciousness. This trust doesn't make us passive observers, but rather allows us to participate more fully in life, free from the burden of trying to force things to be different than they are. As we continue to live from unity consciousness, we naturally inspire others through our example. Without needing to preach or convince, our presence becomes a reminder of the freedom that lives in unity's truth. Our relationships become more authentic, our work more meaningful, and our impact more aligned with the highest good of all. The path of unity consciousness is both simple and profound. It asks us to remember what we've always known at the deepest level, that we are one with all that is. In this remembrance lies the freedom we've been seeking, the peace we've been yearning for, and the love that has always been our true nature. Through consistent practice and gentle awareness, we continue to deepen our understanding and embodiment of this eternal truth.